Ah, hell. I'm in the wrong game again. Hello everyone, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming, and some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming at you another Let's Play episode of No More Future, and you know I can't do No More Future without the game's creator, Sedge.
You can, but I'd be very sad.
I know. I appreciate Sedge's voice.
Bonk.
I appreciate everything Sedge does. Mostly for making this, because I love this game. Don't get a lot of sci-fi furry VNs. Alright, so, are you voicing a bunch of characters in this one?
Yeah.
Or... Okay, awesome. Alright, let me know if you want me to voice someone, alrighty? Alright, everybody, let's...
There's just another character this episode, so... It's just gonna be this Isaac and him, so we'll see.
Okay, awesome. Alright, let's jump right into it. Okay. When you regain consciousness, you find yourself strapped to your bed, if you could even call it that, in the midst of what can barely be called a bedroom. You cannot recall what you did last night after enduring your stress-fueled panic attack. Presumably all you did was drag your behind to this chair at some point, and let it do its job in lulling you to sleep. You recall dreaming about a warm sunset illuminating a green mountain, and something about electric sheep. Even now that you're synthetic, recalling your dreams to the letter is just as hard as when you were human. Luckily, you don't feel the pain from last night creeping in at this moment. You're feeling remarkably calm, all things considered. A quick check of your status reveals that it's about 10 in the morning. A little late, even by your standards. You should probably start getting ready for the day ahead. You unhook yourself from the refueling station and proceed to the corner of the room, towards a large wardrobe where you keep all your clothes. Wait, what? A wardrobe? You recall there being the materials for one lying around in one of the boxes in the living room somewhere. And how come they're all here now, perfectly assembled nonetheless? You open the wardrobe, feeling confused like never before. It's full to the brim with the clothes Pandora lent you, which up until yesterday were all packed into a box placed right where you're standing. This is really starting to get freaky. You try to come up with a solution to your strange situation, some sort of answer that would explain what in the world happened last night that you can't recall. The most likely explanation is that this is yet another glitch within your systems, some sort of weird software bug that Mary never discovered, even though her team ran all sorts of checkups on you just yesterday morning. That said, it's still the most likely explanation you can come up with, so you decide to push this inconsistency to the back of your mind for now. You'll ask your friends at Pandora about it another time. With that out of the way, you focus once again on the wardrobe before you. The clothes are all neatly divided by color and type, which again is enough to make you figuratively raise an eyebrow. Where did I find the time and willpower to do any of this? I've been postponing it for days now. Trying to not let your worries get the best of you, you hastily grab your now familiar yellow jacket and gray trousers from their hangers. You don't really need clothes now that you're an android, much like food, water, and anything else you used to require back when you were human. That's not going to stop you from retaining your sense of decency, however. It's about all you have left now that even your sanity seems to have abandoned you. Here we go. Looks good enough. What were my plans for today again? I don't remember having any. You briefly recall yesterday's events, starting from the beginning of your morning. All the way to your fight in that alleyway with those thugs. It's only been one day, and yet your perception of that incident is completely different. I can't believe I actually beat those people up. What was I even thinking? Sure, I did it to protect Apollo, but that'll hardly change people's perception if they find out what I did, especially considering how they reacted when I shoved that police officer. God, Jasper would fucking kill me if he found out. Okay, let's calm down for a second. I need to think about this critically before I actually lose my mind. First off, it was dark and nobody was around. It's unlikely anyone could implicate me in that fight, even if they could hear us. Besides those thugs anyway, but they never tell anyone about what happened. Even if they claimed that I attacked them, they'd still get in trouble for trying to defend themselves under the current laws. So the most likely scenario is that they'll keep quiet about what happened, so they don't have to implicate themselves in this mess. So I should be good in theory. Those guys will keep their mouths shut, I'll keep my mouth shut, so we can all just move on with our lives as usual. Could have gone way worse, all things considered. That's quite a relief. You were pretty scared there for a moment, but it seems like things will turn out fine for you after all. I guess that means the only thing I can look forward to is more fun learning sessions with Natalie. She still needs to teach me how to use this body to its full potential and everything. You recall that the current time is somewhere around 10 in the morning. Odd. You expected her to wake you up a little sooner than this. It could be that she just wakes up later for work-related reasons. After last night's events, she definitely has every right to take it easy for a day. Or maybe she's just busy attending to more pressing matters than a sleepy android refusing to wake up. Either way, I could really go for some breakfast right now. There should be some leftovers from the other day in the kitchen. Might as well start the day on a high note before I hit up Natalie. Even as an android, it's difficult to resist the allure of a delicious American breakfast. Besides, the food's likely going to rot tomorrow unless you do something with it today. You might as well get this out of the way early so you don't forget later. Motivated to make the best out of your free day, you head towards the kitchen with a pep in your step. Ooh. Nice living room. As you reach the living room, you almost trip over yourself as you realize that something is terribly right? What used to be nowhere near furnished living space has somehow turned into a homely, cozy environment overnight, rivaling even Daphne and Apollo's apartment. The walls are adorned with colorful posters, your entire computer setup is perfectly rigged, even the mini-fridge is already set up, and you're not sure you even had a mini-fridge. I see that Canadian leaf over there. And all those books, fake plants, and assorted memorabilia that Pandora once gifted you are out in full display, too. Now you almost feel guilty for never giving your home a chance to shine this bright. As you try to figure out what in the world happened to your place while you peacefully slept in your chair, the answer inevitably presents itself to you.
Good morning. You've been asleep for quite a long time.
An unfamiliar St. Bernard introduces himself all of a sudden, having somehow managed to elude your sight until now through sheer silence alone. You have no idea who this man is, how he got into your home, or what he's doing sitting on your sofa like he owns the place. You'll admit that the sight of him is certainly nowhere near as frightening as that apparition from yesterday, but that doesn't make it any less unwelcome.
For whatever reason, I assumed you up and ready about 2, maybe 3 hours ago. They usually take this long to rest and refuel. I suppose that now that you're synthetic, it really doesn't matter when you wake up. Daily routines are nothing more than mere formality to you now. Nevertheless, it would make our job a lot easier if you were to try and follow them anyway. I'm sure my team would appreciate that greatly.
What in the world is he talking about, and who in the world is he for that matter? The tone in his voice implies that he's much older than you, but his physical appearance seems to thoroughly deny that hypothesis. Other than that, he seems like a perfectly average man. Those clothes he's wearing look somewhat formal, but much like those of an office worker. Could he be another employee of Pandora you somehow never stumbled upon? You take a brief look around the room, looking for clues. Other than the old man making weird comments from your couch, there are 2 other men, more younger than the first, standing by the door with a stoic expression on their faces. One of them is a reddish, slightly out-of-shape squirrel, whereas the other is a slender and stiff cheetah. You do not recognize either of them from your 2-week stay at Pandora. Their attire makes it clear that they work with or are somehow associated with that strange guy on the couch, but you struggle to understand why anyone would want to work with idiots who think wearing sunglasses indoors is cool. A disgruntled growl comes from the corner of the room, alerts you to yet another stranger's presence. This surprise party has even more attendees than you originally thought. As you turn to face the source of the noise, you are shocked to find out that it comes from none other than a synthetic? And a strange one at that. Their appearance is entirely unlike yours. They look tougher, wilder, almost beast-like. You don't recall Mary ever showing you that model while planning out your future body with you. Their features are still somewhat reptilian. Oh, what's up?
Nothing. The screen was frozen for a second, sorry.
Oh, is it good now?
Oh, yeah, it's good now.
Okay. Their features are still somewhat reptilian, although you struggle to figure out just what species they're modeled after. Their ridiculously large claws and dangerously spiked tail don't really inspire a lot of confidence in you either way. You try to meet their gaze, but you find yourself unable to as their eyes stare into yours as coldly and threateningly as daggers, inevitably forcing you to turn away. Just who or what in the world is this thing?
Excuse me. You know, but notice you got a little spooked by Harlan there. Don't worry, he's mostly harmless. Unless, of course, I tell him otherwise, which, rest assured, I won't. We're all friends here, after all. Or will be, given time.
Harlan, not someone you recall anyone mentioning back at Pandora, and yet that body was most certainly built with their technology. Whoever he is, he seems to be working for this man just the same as those idiots by the door, though you still don't know who any of them are supposed to be. Perhaps it's time for you to break the silence and begin asking some questions. Last I checked, friends didn't barge into their pals' homes uninvited. So how about you tell me who in the world you're supposed to be before I call the cops on you? Perhaps you sound a little angry for someone in the same room as Harlan over there. However, given the circumstances, it's hard to keep your automatic fight or flight response in check.
The cops, you say? After what they did to you yesterday? Sounds like a terrible idea. Besides, I don't see the point in calling them when we're already here.
The man slowly stands up, adjusts the tie hanging on his neck, then bluntly extends his hand towards you as if expecting you to shake it.
Agent Bradbury, FBI, at your service.
Agent Bradbury? FBI? No fucking way. You're glad this body doesn't have any fur on it, else it would have all risen at once as soon as you processed those words. There's no way this guy's for real, right? Yeah, right, and I'm Rudolph the reindeer. The man nonchalantly laughs off your joke as though it is the funniest thing he's heard in his life, or the most stupid. Eventually, his smile turns to a smirk as he prepares to address your doubts.
You used to go by Isaac before your transition as well, when Pandora suddenly came to rescue you from near death. Isn't that right?
How do you...
Brain cancer. Ironic, isn't it? It's been over 2 centuries since chemotherapy was invented, and yet no definitive cure for cancer has ever been found. You must have endured quite a lot. No wonder you chose to trust Pandora's word and became a synthetic.
You're not sure what to be more unsettled by, the amount of your private information this man has access to, or how apathetic he looks as he shares it with you.
Regardless, I believe I made my point quite clear. We're the real deal. Unless you'd like us to wave our badges around like freshly appointed rookies, just so there's no further doubt in your mind.
Fine, you've made your point. Though that hardly means you suddenly like them or anything. In fact, knowing that they're the FBI upsets you even more so. If before you were only mad that they somehow broke into your apartment while you slept, now you're also worried that they may be here for more than a simple meet and greet.
Wonderful. I suppose with our introduction out of the way for now. That's always the most annoying part of every conversation, isn't it?
And here you thought the most annoying part of this conversation was him. So, are you going to tell me why you're here now? Maybe when you're going to leave, too, while you're at it?
My. I knew I thought you cherished slow conversations, now that you have all the time in the world at your disposal. Show a little patience, won't you? We might as well savor this conversation, instead of rushing into it headlong. It's not like either of us are going anywhere for the time being.
You distinctly notice a veiled threat hidden within his otherwise polite request, and given the 2 guards stationed at your door and the imposing android brooding in the corner, you cannot afford to ignore it.
Speaking of, I'm rather hungry from all the waiting around. You don't mind having a little snack while we chat, do you?
As if reacting to an invisible command, one of the 2 agents stationed by the door suddenly begins heading towards your kitchen at the canine's request. Hold on, what's he doing now?
Preparing breakfast, of course. Aren't you feeling a little hungry, too? Don't worry, we took the liberty of looking into your fridge earlier while we were tidying up the place for you. We know you have plenty of food to spare.
You did what? They're the ones to blame for refurbishing your home? Why in the world did they decide to do something like that for you? On second thought, that's probably not the most important thing to worry about right now. Hold on, why are you wording it like you're the ones offering me something? You're literally stealing food from my kitchen. And for that matter, I never gave you permission to do any of this in the first place.
Oh, relax, Isaac. Agent Smith is a wonderful cook, the best in the Bureau. You won't regret testing it with your tools and ingredients.
That hardly answers any of your questions, though the dog doesn't seem to care all that much, aside from a coy grin indicating his enjoyment of the situation.
We could have just done all this earlier, mind you, but I thought you'd rather our breakfast be hot than cold. I don't know you, but I personally hate being served terrible food in the morning. It just ruins my mood for the rest of the day.
From the looks of things, this man is not interested in addressing your concerns in the slightest. It's like his every remark is nothing more than a sloppily masked taunt. As you ponder this over the sound of eggs and bacon frying in the kitchen, you see Bradbury invite you to join him over on the couch.
Why don't we have a little chat while we wait for food? Start covering some ground together, since you're so eager to get back into your life.
Now that's something you can get behind, even if the prospect of sitting so close to that man has you a little on edge. Regardless, fine by me. You carefully take a seat next to the St. Bernard, while still keeping as much distance between the 2 of you as possible. As you sit down, you give another glance at the gloomy android watching your every move from his little corner of the room, his large hands ready to swipe at you at a moment's notice. That gaze of his really doesn't inspire the greatest confidence in you. He's almost like a feral animal ready to pounce on you when you least expect it. If you guys are FBI agents, then who's that guy supposed to be? The diversity hire? The canine chuckles at your passive-aggressive joke, waving off your hostility as if it were a mere attempt at hilarity.
Interested in our very own synthetic, aren't you? I suppose I may as well tell you more about him, since you can't seem to pry your eyes away from him. He's been with us for half a year now. A real dedicated fellow, that one.
You hear a strange noise coming from Harlan's corner, as if in response to the man's description, though you don't notice anything unusual by the time you've turned to look at him again. Bradbury doesn't seem to have noticed that at all, however, and he proceeds with his explanation as if nothing happened.
You could say he works for us, but he's not an employee by any means.
He works for you?
Yes, you could say he's my bodyguard of sorts. You can never be too careful out there, especially these days. I've heard that the streets around here get awfully dangerous at night. You never quite know what might happen to you amidst the darkness.
You somehow manage to suppress your desire to audibly gulp in front of him, keeping your fear locked up inside for the time being. No way. There's no way he knows about that scuffle from yesterday, is there? Before you can even properly begin to worry about the implications of that hypothesis, the St. Bernard beckons for your attention once again.
You seem a little spooked all of a sudden. Are you the sort of person that gets frightened easily by those things?
He doesn't seem to be confirming your suspicions for the time being. Maybe you jumped the gun on that assessment. Either way, you definitely shouldn't have given him any reason to think you're connected to a crime or anything of the sort. Yeah, I get nervous easily at night. I always feel like I might get jumped by someone who when I least expect it.
Oh, you poor soul. I'm deeply sorry about that. No one should live in fear of something awful happening to them because of another person's foolishness. But please, do take care when you're on your own at night. The times are not right for your kind of florist, sadly, and the last thing I want is for anything unfortunate to happen to you now that you're at your most vulnerable.
I see. You should probably get back to more comfortable conversation before Bradbury presses you further on this very dangerous topic. So, you mentioned Harlan works for you. I thought synthetics were supposed to live ordinary lives after transitioning. How come he's working for you then? Is Pandora okay with this? And how come you never heard anything about it to begin with?
Oh, nothing of the sort, I assure you. His arrangement is quite different from yours.
Is that so?
Yes, but I'm afraid I cannot share much else on the topic, which, I should add, has nothing to do with our present conversation anyway. After all, we're here to talk about you, not him.
Of course, even when he offers to answer your questions, he still refrains from giving specific answers you seek. You're not sure why you expected anything else. In that case, how about you just tell me why you came here to begin with? It's not every day the feds come knocking at your door, or barge in uninvited for that matter. You expected a straightforward answer, but Bradbury only greets you with a silence and a confident smirk. All of a sudden, the old man begins to softly, continuously cackle like you just shared the funniest joke of his entire life.
Oh dear. Where do we begin?
What are you talking about? What are you laughing about?
Ah, my apologies. I've been trying to keep that laugh subdued all morning, but it seems even I have my limits. I just couldn't resist, really. I do hope you can forgive me.
What are you talking about? His laughter truly is among the most chilling things you've ever heard in your life. It's like hearing nails scraping a blackboard in the midst of a haunted school.
You really need me to clue you in? Well, since you're asking so politely. It's just between your attitude and choice of words so far. It's obvious that you have absolutely no clue of what the world your life has become, and where your choices have led you.
What's that supposed to mean?
You act under the foolish impression that you somehow still have power, freedom, rights. Rest assured, you don't. You throw those away along with your life when you sold your soul to Pandora. Isn't that right?
In spite of his face remaining more or less the same, you feel as though a switch suddenly flipped in his personality. Like all the cunning and malice that he was keeping pent up inside him were unleashed all at once, with devastating effects.
You really don't know anything, do you, Isaac? You don't know your rights, you don't know whether your transition succeeded. You don't even know whether you truly are who you claim to be, who Pandora claims you are.
How do you...
Come on. Are you really going to ask the FBI agent how he has access to all this highly confidential information?
Probably not. You can already imagine it either way. You don't know how long you've been spied on, but it's clear that these guys did their homework on you. If they're trying to unnerve you, they're definitely succeeding. All you can do right now is worry over the canine's words, which are more than enough to summon a storm of dark thoughts in your mind. Look, you don't know whether the transition succeeded either.
No, I do not. But for that matter, neither do you. Neither can you, rather. All we've got going for us are our theories. Then you can clearly see that one of them is more probable than the other. I mean, do you seriously believe a corporation like Pandora would develop technology to make people live forever and just throw it out there just like that? Test it on nobodies like you instead of saving it for the richest and most powerful men in the world? Like the upper echelons of our management, for example?
He does raise good objections, though you definitely don't like the place where he's coming from. And what would your theory be then?
That you're nothing more than an AI, of course. An extremely advanced AI, mind you, capable of mimicking a human being to perfection. But an AI nonetheless.
Of course. Are you not surprised? He's of the same mindset as all those people out there, except he's in a far greater position to harm you than any of them. Things really are spiraling out of control faster you can get a hold of them.
Looking rather glum over there, aren't we? Like I said, a perfect simulation of human emotion. Unnecessary, but highly convincing.
While Bradbury laughs off your sudden outburst, his underling returns from the kitchen with 2 hot plates of food in his hands. He leaves them on the dining table on the other side of the room, then nonchalantly returns to his post while Bradbury compliments his work.
Wonderful work, Agent Smith. You can smell the delicious aroma even from here.
Without a word of warning, the man suddenly stands up and heads over to the table, leaving you behind on the couch to sulk in your doubts.
What are you doing over there, Isaac? The food's gonna get cold at this rate.
Unsurprisingly, all these heavy thoughts he's summoned with his threats and arguments have caused you to quickly lose your appetite. You'd rather keep staring at him angrily from where you sit than share a table or a meal with that venomous snake of a man. I'm not hungry anymore.
Such a shame. You're really missing out, you know. Oh well. More for me, I suppose.
And just like that, he helps himself to your servings if he didn't just spend the last few minutes undermining your faith and self-confidence. Like your hatred for him isn't getting bigger and bigger with every second that passes.
Look, think about it this way. If I'm right, and you're nothing more than an AI designed to behave like a real human, I don't think suddenly start to make a lot more sense, don't they?
Like what, exactly?
Why not even you know what a transition entails, for example? For all you know, it may not even happen at all. Or why Pandora is so confident he won't cause any trouble like anyone's just been gifted an invincible and immortal body wearing your position.
Oh please, you're telling me the first thing you'd do if you were synthetic would be to jump off a cliff or get run over by a bulldozer?
Fair point. But let me raise a few more obvious objections. It explains why you can still eat, drink, sleep, and do many other things an android doesn't really need to do.
No, it doesn't. All these features were clearly included to help make the transition from human to synthetic smoother. That's what Apollo concluded yesterday either way, and you have no reason to doubt his intuition.
Or maybe they were simply added to improve the illusion Pandora's trying to sell to the masses. The first step to convincing everyone that synthetics are real people is to convince you that you're a real person. To fool you into thinking you're just another human like everyone else, when you could be so much more. After all, if the eye itself believes to be human, then its job of convincing others of that same fact becomes a lot easier, doesn't it? You can appeal to emotion instead of facts. You can strike friendships instead of listing solid points. And all the while you remain blissfully unaware of it all, blindly faithful as you are to the lies Pandora served you on a silver platter.
You truly have no idea what to say right now. Stuck as you are pandering on Bradbury's words while he contentedly eats breakfast at your table. His theories aren't quite as easily disproven as the mindless hatred you've been enduring lately, and some of his points keep nagging at the back of your head like woodpeckers pecking on a tree trunk. Could there be some truth in what he's saying? Could Pandora truly have deceived you? Could your faith in your humanity, the reassurances you've made to your friends, be nothing more than mere delusions of a foolish AI?
How? Didn't come here just to give you an existential crisis.
Bradbury beckons you from his quaint spot on the other side of the room, placidly munching on some eggs and bacon.
I actually came to ask you for a favor.
You're really gonna say that with a straight face? After saying that I'm nothing more than a program pretending to be a person? He must be trying to rile you up on purpose, you reason, yet the dog hardly winces at your harsh words.
Nothing more? Hardly. And you say I'm the one undervaluing you. Besides, I don't see the fault you find in my logic. Programs are far more easily bargained with than humans. Whereas humans are easily blinded by emotions and ideals, AIs follow rules and reason above all else. That is what makes them better than humans, in my humble view.
Except I'm not a goddamn program! I have a feeling that your hateful words won't do much to dissuade him from thinking that. Moreover, it appears as though St. Bernard was prepared for your objection to begin with.
Are you, though? Or are you merely programmed to think that? Let me ask you this. Does a butterfly know that it's an insect? A bird that it's an animal? A house that it's a building? No, they do not. Because butterflies, birds, and houses are incapable of thinking. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. A wise man once shared something along those lines, many ages in our past.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I'm pretty sure that I can think in spite of everything you've said about me.
True. Humans and AIs alike are capable of thinking and pondering on their own existence more than any animal or object ever could. But how often do they actually do that? How often do they question whether their beliefs are true, and whether they're not simply deluding themselves? How often have you stopped to consider whether your thoughts are truly your own? Whether you're not simply programmed to behave and respond a certain way? Assuming you ever have, that is.
Whether your thoughts are truly your own, that you're afraid, is something you've never quite stopped to consider. Could it be that you really cannot tell your own thoughts from those of others anymore? Like, is your situation truly that desperate? Up. I said, shut up! Though you're more uncertain than ever, you're not going to let this man take advantage of that. It'd probably be smarter to remain silent, given everything he's supposedly capable of, but you're too overwhelmed by your anger and loathing to pay common sense any mind at the moment. My name is Isaac. I've been Isaac my whole life, and the transition certainly didn't change that. You can't strip me of my identity just like that, pretend like you know what my head's like when you're just as uncertain of the truth as I am. The canine cackles once again at your upset expression and rage-fueled words, a piece of bacon trembling in the air against his fork as he does so.
Please. Do you truly trust your memories all that much? You don't even know if they're yours to begin with.
I said shut up already! My thoughts and memories are just as real as I am.
Oh, don't put words in my mouth. I never meant to imply your memories aren't real by any means. Isaac really did exist at some point, and they did live the life that you recall so dearly. But is your mind truly the continuation of that human? Or are you merely programmed to think that you are? Have you ever stopped to ponder whether those memories ever belonged to you at all? Even if a transition succeeded and there truly was a soul inside you, who's to say it's Isaac's? For all we know, it could be someone else's. Who's to say Pandora didn't implant Isaac's memories in you to fool you into thinking...
Enough! I'm getting really tired of your hypotheticals. Your sudden rebuttal somehow manages to stun the St. Bernard for a moment, leaving you some wiggle room to debunk his ridiculous statements. Until you're sure of what you're saying, you can keep all your theories and hypotheses to yourself. I never asked for them, nor do I need them. I'm done listening to your nonsense. Now get the hell out of my house! It's true that Bradbury raises some good points and asks some riveting questions, but you're in no mood to take any of that into consideration right now. You can confront your fears and worries at a later time. Right now, all you care about is giving this man his just desserts. You spot the dog scratching his chin with his free hand, mulling over your words. He then smiles nonchalantly as he suddenly stands up, leaving his fork and empty plate behind.
Fair enough. I do apologize for making you so emotional, Isaac. It was never my intention. I assure you all I ever wanted was for you to consider a few things I thought you might find enlightening. I didn't expect you to react so harshly to my words.
As if. The canine chuckles once again at your comment.
Well, I can't say it deserves a reaction given everything I said. In hindsight, I should have expected it. Of course, I don't regret any of it. Sometimes people need to be told things they find disagreeable in order for them to learn.
Will you get out already?
Patience. I did say I wanted to ask for your help first.
Forget it! The only help I'll be glad to give you is a kick in your ass as I shove you out the door. The synthetic in the corner of the room, who's been silent up until now, suddenly stands upright as if reacting to your threat. You have to admit, he looks quite intimidating like that. However, before he can do anything, Bradbury simply flicks his finger at the android, who immediately returns to his corner with a brooding look in his eyes.
Now, no need to speak without thinking, Isaac. Some people might take your jokes more literally than you might like.
You really don't like the implications of that statement, though you do your best to hide how unsettled you are from the canine. The St. Bernard, on the other hand, merely begins to walk around the living room like a politician in the midst of a speech.
Honestly, I'm only suggesting you help me out because it's in your best interest to do so.
My best interests? As if he even cared about my interests.
Why, as a matter of fact, I do. And I think you know what they are as well.
Just let me know when to stop, okay?
Yeah, we're almost done, actually.
Okay. You have no idea what the dog's talking about, though it doesn't look like he intends on leaving you in the dark for long.
I've shared with you a lot of concerns earlier that you could not quite debunk. A lot of questions that you had no real answer to. Of course, you're right to say that I cannot know for certain whether you're alive or not. Just like I'm right in pointing out that neither do you. But you know who should know all the answers to all these questions from earlier?
At least this time you feel like you know what the agent before you was trying to hint at. Pandora.
Bingo.
Of course, that doesn't mean his query is any less stupid because of it. Well, tough luck for you then. They're still busy figuring it out as we speak. Instead of acting surprised at your rebuttal, the dog merely raises an eyebrow as lazily as can be.
And you believe that?
Another question whose sole purpose is to fill your head with doubts and second guesses. Of course, you believe them. You wouldn't be here if you didn't believe them, and they've given you no reason to stop so far. I have no reason to doubt them.
No, you have no reason to trust them. That is what you cannot seem to grasp. Do you even know what sort of company Pandora is?
What kind of question is that?
Well, since you don't seem to have an answer ready, let's start with the obvious. Pandora, like I said, is a company. And companies, you can likely figure out on your own, like money.
I'm pretty sure the nearest elementary school's a few blocks down. Bradbury merely shakes his head at your joke, not intending the slightest to stop treating you like a child.
Of course, Pandora doesn't lack money in the slightest. They've been doing fantastically well for as long as they've existed, with a few minor hiccups along the way. They had no reason to begin working on projects risky, costly, and, forgive me for saying this, absolutely ludicrous as synthetics. Yet they had no problem investing billions of dollars just to create you, and about 1,000 times that on the entire project overall.
That is a little suspicious, you'll give him that. Even if you still don't know what could have inspired them to commit so many resources to this end.
Naturally, for us at the FBI, that's more than a little concerning. Especially considering that the last time they invested so much in an emerging technology, Kronos almost wiped out the entire planet. We believe Pandora may have ulterior motives to develop this technology. Or, at the very least, they do not know the extent to which it can backfire on them and on the rest of the world. It's the only sensible explanation as to why they decided to invest in this project in the first place.
Now that's ridiculous. Does the FBI really think Pandora is going to end the world or something? Judging by the confidence in the man's voice, that very well appears to be the case.
That's why I need you to find out the answers to all these questions. It's not just about clarifying whether you exist or don't exist. It's a matter of national security. We need to understand what extent Pandora plans to use synthetics. And you, thanks to your proximity to leading minds behind the project, will figure that out for us. We know you have a close relationship with the mind behind this beast, Dr. Shelley. We could really use an agent as unsuspectable as you working her from the inside.
The canine suddenly stops shuffling around and turns to face you once again, an inviting smile on his lips.
Have I made myself abundantly clear? When you collaborate with us? We can stop here or go on for like 5 to 10 minutes if you want.
Oh, we can stop here.
All right.
This is really nice. Oh man, I didn't expect the FBI to get involved.
Yeah.
That darn FBI, always meddling in things.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to.
Ooh, doggo.
I know. How did I know it was going to be a Saint? It's like when I think of the FBI, I'm thinking of like Saint Bernards and golden retrievers and things like that.
They are filthy dogs. Kidding.
Also, his name
Don't know
too.
what thing.
It just reminds me of like some FBI guy's name.
Yeah.
You picked well. Very recognizable.
Thanks.
Alright, so I'm gonna end it right there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to the next video. I love you all. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye!